Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on adventures and travels by bike. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/333. Email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 333rd edition of the Pedal Shift Project. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Tim Mooney, and this is the PDX-SF2x Tour Day 3. I don't know how it worked out like that, but it totally did. Episode 333 for Day 3. This will never happen again. I'm more excited about it than you are, clearly, because it was pure dumbass luck. I always say that the third day of a tour is when things really click in, and this tour was no different. Leaving beautiful Newport for tranquil Yachats, Oregon, promised a great start for a classic third day of riding. But would bus drama hit me for the third day in a row, but with more of a vengeance? Folks, if you like your drama, welcome to episode 333 of the Pedal Shift Project. Good morning from South Beach State Park. I'm strolling over to the activity center to kind of get away from the hiker-biker area and have a little bit more of a conversation. It is about 7:30 a.m. I've already had breakfast. I've had my cold instant coffee, and I'm going to tell you, it's not bad. I think when I woke up this morning, it's chilly, but the sun is out, which is unusual. Let me start with that. It has been unusually sunny compared to my experience. I have normally found that when I'm cycling the coast around this time of year, that it tends to be, especially here, very foggy. The sound of the foghorn in the distance is one of my favorite parts of this particular park. Got none of it. I'm literally standing in the sun right now, which is a little bit nice because it's in the 50s. But yeah, it seems interesting, and I think I need to make sure that I take care of my sunscreen needs because I have little strips of over sun on my wrist, for instance, where my sun sleeves ended, but before my watch got there. So I do need to actually apply sunscreen in parts that I didn't realize. In any event, this morning has been good. The lack of a stove, while at first, as I was about to say, before I went to that sun soliloquy, when I woke up, I was like, oh, I really wish I had a stove to make hot coffee. And I'm like, well, you know what? Who cares, right? And so I have a little bottle of formerly Dunkin' Donuts coffee, which is just like way too sweet for me, that kind of stuff. I just put in a couple of packets, I think 3, and shook it all up, and it was perfectly fine, and it was a nice way to get things started this morning. I also made a couple of peanut butter and jelly wraps, just to kind of get some calories into me to start this morning. I have a bit of a later start today compared to yesterday. I will not be riding to start my day. Well, I suppose I will be to get to the bus stop, but I have a bus in the 10 o'clock hour, and I'll be going about an hour down the road, give or take, maybe a little bit less than that, to Yachats, Oregon. And then things get into a ridey mode, which is fun. It's a beautiful part of the coast. It's a challenging part of the coast as well. And that will get me to Florence, Oregon. And then I got some time, so I can really take my time on the ride. But I also have another bus to catch, which, as I mentioned on the last episode, is pretty critical for this part of the state. I was kind of going over it in my head because they were weird about reservations, strongly encouraged, and I have not made a reservation. So I am going to call them today, and, I think I'm going to call them on the early side, because just in case there isn't a possibility of catching that bus, I believe that they may have another one in the morning, and I may be able to kind of rejigger my schedule. It would mean I'd have to skip a portion of the coast in order to get down to Brookings, which is my spot for the next day. And not to kind of get too far ahead of things, but getting to Brookings is real important because from there we start to get into another place where the bus is a question mark to me because I've never taken them before. I've never taken any transit south of Brookings. So my nervousness goes up a little bit from that point on, but that's for future weeks. This morning, again, leisurely, which is great because, and it's by design too, I wanted to be able to enjoy this park a little bit more, to kind of like slowly take things down and have some recovery time as well. Couple of things of note. Let's see, what should I talk about first? Well, let's talk about recovery. Last night I did not sleep as well, and that was because I don't know if any of you get this, but I am starting to get this. It is my left hip in particular, although it'll happen to my right as well. It will have like a dull ache to it. Not a sharp pain, not a, oh, you need your hip replaced kind of a thing. Went through that with my partner. Poor thing. That did not seem like a fun process at all. But it's something where usually stretching and moving and rotating my leg outwards and then inwards, that usually solves it. It did not last night. It took an extra set of ibuprofen to kind of get me the ability to get to sleep. I hope this is not a continuing issue, but I suppose it could be just because of the nature of the extra work that's going on it. Hopefully I'll be able to ride this out. And, my body will get more used to things. Minor annoyance, not an injury, but something to pay attention to. I may have to get more ibuprofen. I remember a few episodes ago, I talked about how Virgo I was about the setting aside. Sorry, here's a plane going literally over my head. Twin engine. Propeller? Yes, a twin engine propeller. No more than 200 feet above me. Interesting. How I set aside all of the bus fares and separately folded them so that I could just grab the proper fare. Well, I have already forgotten my story. What was I doing that was Virgo? My goodness. Oh, I know. I was talking about my ibuprofen. So every night I have to take certain medications for a variety of different things, and which also makes me feel a lot older than I think I am. But anyways, I take them every night. I brought the little pill dispenser, all of those things. Many of you may have this. Some of you won't. Some of you may at some point. But in any event, I had that all set aside. But I included 2 ibuprofen in there because I take them at night for the end of my days, which is kind of crazy. And then I thought, well, I usually only take 2 ibuprofen at the most, so I should be fine. And now, of course, last night I had to take another dose. So anyways, point being, I may have to pick up some more. I think I actually have a few more days worth of stuff just to be on the safe side anyway, so I should be all right. Anyways, the other interesting thing is South Beach State Park. I've been here. As I told the ranger when I checked in, I'm a frequent flyer of this park. One thing that gives me great joy is when I see old pedal shift stickers. It is the only sticker in this entire place. And for some reason, they have not scraped it off. There are 2 of them. There's one on the outside of the charging lockers and one on the inside of one of them. And I mean, it's years old. It's a solid 5 years old, and it might be more than that. I'll have to go back and remember which tour it was that I did this. But it may go back to like 2017. It could be 7 years old perhaps. But in any event, it's always a joy to see that. I did stop. There was one rest area, or I shouldn't say rest area, but parking area, where I remembered putting a sticker on one of the guardrails, and I looked, and either it was long gone or I misremembered, and it was a different waypoint where I had to put one. So always fun to discover them. If you ever see one in the wild, they're not in too many places, but you never know. If it's a tour I've been on, chances are somewhere along that tour there is a sticker somewhere, if it still exists. All right, so that is the end of the morning of day 3. I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to, I may break camp and kind of maybe ride around a little bit, although that doesn't seem to make a ton of sense. I guess I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to be when I grow up? Because it's so early, there's just not a ton of activity. There's only one market on this side of the bay, which I could go to grab some things, but there's also opportunities to pick things up in Yachats. And since I've already eaten, there's really not much of a reason to do anything. At the market, I don't need to purchase anything. So I think my instinct is to just kind of sit tight a little bit, maybe see if I can make that phone call. One other thing. The cell phone access here is markedly worse than it has been in past years. I used to be able to get on any website and do whatever I needed to do. Was the signal super strong? No. But I have had a great deal of difficulty with connectivity here. So that's one other thing that I could conceivably do. But I found the same issues were true over by Brewers on the Bay, which would be, I would think, a spot where connectivity might be better. So maybe I do go to the market after all. That is, by the way, the market here on 101 is where the bus picks up. So maybe if I just get packed up and right over there, I might have better connectivity, might be able to accomplish a couple of things. I will keep you posted, as always, on the situation with the bus later today. I'm really kind of hoping that I can make a quick phone call, get things settled that will take a load off. The worst part about getting to a place where it's a question mark on the bus situation is the nagging, horrible feelings that you have that, you're going to be in the wrong spot, or, it doesn't exist, or, it's going to be late, because it happens, and there's only one bite at the apple. This is not a situation where it's sort of like, oh, cool, it'll be there in 15 minutes, there'll be another one. No, absolutely not. So there's a little anxiety with all of that I hope to be able to alleviate.
From a very noisy Yachats Bridge. So originally, I was planning on grabbing the bus on this side of the bridge, but I have time to kill. It's a beautiful view, but most importantly, the beginning of the route is at Newport City Hall. And if you've listened to me using these buses here in Newport before, you know that I tend to try to remove failure points. And a failure point would be, what if there are multiple people with bikes? There is a later bus that I could take, but I'm kind of at the point right now where I wouldn't mind just keeping a little extra time on my side for this particular connection. It also gets me to Yachats a little earlier, sure that I'm on this bus, and there's just a lot of good reasons to do it. I'll have time to burn in Florence if all goes well, or have time for a very leisurely 30 or so miles when cycling from Yachats to Florence. So yeah, I just, with the way the buses have gone, I couldn't believe how crowded yesterday's was, and I kind of barely made it. The driver, I don't think I mentioned this, the driver had offered, I'll just get a dial-a-ride. And I was thinking to myself, that's amazing they've got that, but how long was that gonna take? And, you just never know. So, yeah, so add that all up, and this is me pushing my bike up the long hill that gets me to the top of the bridge and a beautiful view, and you get to cross the bridge twice on this trip, which is kind of fun. It's another gorgeous day. Again, very surprised how little fog there is. I can see it out on beyond the bay here, way past the jetty. There is a fog bank forming, but surprisingly not here. Normally when I wake up in the morning at South Beach State Park, my tent is moist. And it wasn't. It was perfectly dry. So that was nice, packing up a dry tent for this round. It'll be handy tonight if everything goes according to plan, because if it does, I'll be packing up or unpacking the tent at a late hour for me. I wouldn't be surprised if I set up the tent and maybe go quite straight to sleep. So this is the day that I was kind of I wasn't loving in terms of the ultimate disposition of the ride, but it does work out. The connection is doable, so it'll be good, and some nice riding as well, which of course makes all the sense in the world for a bike touring trip. Nearly at the top here, I should describe the walkway here. It is raised, I would say, about 18 inches. It is, I'd estimate, 3 to 3.5 feet wide, so not a super wide sidewalk. Very much made for pedestrians, less so for bikes. But if I wasn't going to bike up and take the lane on the other side, I'm certainly not here where the uphill is substantially longer. I think that would be a problem. So this works just great. I'm on the wrong side of 101 to get to the City Hall stop, but it shouldn't be too bad. I've done this before. I cameled up a little bit on the water. I'm a little concerned about hydration. Its sun is strong, but it's cool, which is kind of I love that it's cool, but I don't drink enough water, I don't think. So I'm gonna have to try to do more of that. I filled up all 3 water bottles. I will certainly be getting another sports drink of some type. Maybe not here in Newport, but probably in Yachats. So I want to make sure actually that I have some additional ones for tomorrow, because if all goes well, 7 Devils, baby. Tomorrow's actually interesting. It's an intense day, but a short day, which is going to rely on another bus system, which I'm more familiar with, to get me to Brookings. But we'll talk more about that later this episode as we wrap things up. I am wearing my hat, not my helmet right now, just because I'm walking, and the wind up here is stiff enough that I worry about losing it. That's my beloved Syracuse hat, so can't have that. All right, I think what we'll do is, since that was a long uphill climb and I yacked about very little of substance, you'll get the echoey thing, the first of the stanchions, and then I'll let you go until the next segment. But first, echo, weird audio, weird audio. From the delightful Coasties Roasters, right across from where I get my bus, I have some excellent news. I called Coos County Transport, and they said, yes, we say on the website that reservations are encouraged, but they're not necessary, and we never have a full bus. And then I followed up with, hey, I have a bike. You've got a bike rack, right? They said, yes. So we're in fantastic shape. So I'm feeling much better about today. There's no question I'm going to be able to make the bus. I'm the only question mark is making sure that I find where the bus is. There are a couple stops in Florence, so I'm just going to scout out both of them after I ride in and just know, hopefully there's a sign. I would love it if there's a sign. Sometimes there aren't. I will double check on Google Maps because that tends to be a good source of info. I've had times where there have been no signs, but Google Maps has precisely identified where the bus picks up, which is really handy. All right, I'm going to finish the rest of this delightful apple walnut thing and my cold brew and feel much better about how this day's going to go. What could possibly go wrong? If the audio quality of this sounds different, it's because I'm doing it from my watch. Why am I recording from my watch right now? Because my phone is unavailable. All right,
For those of you who enjoy a little drama in my tours, welcome to your section. Today, I got off the bus and I was all set to load up, and I realized didn't have my phone. As I watched the bus turn left on Highway 101 and go out, I tried sprinting after it to no avail. Did not have the legs nor the speed, nor did I figure it out quickly enough. A nice guy named Mike, who seems to be kind of living an alternative lifestyle right now. Good for him. He had a cell phone, thank God, that he didn't leave on the bus, and allowed me to use it to call Lincoln County Transit, let them know, found out that my guy, the bus driver, was actually on a lunch break here in Yachats, which gave me a little bit of hope, because I thought I was going to have to wait for my guy to come all the way to Newport and then all the way back. Well, turns out I didn't have to do that. So after leaving my name and just said, hey, can you get the message to the guy? Dispatcher was like, yes, definitely. Meet him back there at 1 o'clock, 1:30 before he has to take the southbound back to Newport. So I got really lucky. Then I was like, well, wait a second here. This is not a big town. If you've ever been to Yachats, it's not big. So I kind of went riding back southbound. And I looked down 7th Street here, saw the bus, and I was like, all right, I'm going to come right in here. And of course, I don't know if my phone is still on there, because somebody could have lifted it, whatever. Well, turns out, phone's there.